as me de gentiles sacravam iniquo de los verme.
Et refugium meum est tu, et propter nomen tuus hieris, et nutris me.
Gloria. No Gloria this Mass. Ordinary form, extraordinary form, quinquagesima, you know. Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu
Oremus. Praetes nostos que sumus Domine clementer exaudi, atque a pectorum vinculis absolutos, ab omninos adversitate custodi, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum Filium Tuum, qui tecum vivere regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Lectio Epistolae Beati Pauli Apostoli ad Corinthios, Fratre, si linguis hominum loquar ad angelorum, caritatem autem non habeam, factus sum velute sonans, ausim balum tiniens, et si habuero profetiam, et novera mysteria omnia, et omnem strientiam, et si habuero omnem fidem, ida ut montes transferam caritatem autem non habuero nihil sum, et si distribuero in tribus pauperum omnes facultates meas, et si tradidero corpus meum, ita ut ardeam caritatem autem non habuero, nihil mihi prodest. Caritas patientes benigna est, caritas non emulator, non agit non inflatur, non est ambitiosa, non querit que sua sunt, non irritatur, non cogitat malum, non gaudet super iniquitiae, congaudet autem veritati, omnia sufert, omnia credit, omnia sperat, omnia sustinet. Caritas numquam expedit, sive profetiae vacuabuntur, sive linguae cesabunt, sive scientia destruetur, ex parte enim cognoscimus, et ex parte profetamus, cum autem venerit, quod perfectum est evacuabitur, quod ex parte est, cum esem parvulus loquebar ut parvulus, sapiebam ut parvulus, cogitabam ut parvulus, quando autem factus vir, evacuavique errant parvuli, videmus nunc per speculum in enigmate, tunc autem faciae ad faciem, nunc cognosco ex parte, tunc autem cognoscam sicut et cognitus sum, nunc autem maneat fides spes caritas tria haec, maior autem orum est caritas.
You be
Dominus vobiscum. Sequentia Sancte Evangelii secundum Lucam. In illo tempore assumsi Iesus duodecim et aetiris et extendibus Jerusalema et consuma abuntur omnia prescripta sunt per prophetas de filio hominis. Tradetur enum gensibus et illudetur flagellabitur et conspuetur de postquam flagella vehint occidenteum et tertia die resurget, et ipsi nihil aurum intellexerunt, et erat verbum isud absconditum habeis, et non intelligebant quae dicebatur. Factum est autem cum apopinquaret Jericho, secus quidam sedebat secus viam mendicans, et cum audiret urbam praetereuntem interrogabant qui hoc esset. Dixerunt autem ei quod Iesus Nazarenus transiret, et clamavit dicens Iesu fili David miserere mei, et quid praebant increpabant eum ut taceret. Ipse vera multo magnis clamabat, fili David miserere mei. Stans autem Iesus usit illum adduciat se, et cum apopinquaset interrogavit illum dicens, qui tibi vis faciam. At ille dixit Domine ut videam. Et Iesus dixit illi respice vides tuae te salvum fecit, et confestim vidit, et sequebantur illum magnificans Deum, et omnis plebs ut vidit, dedit laudem Deo. A reading from the Epistle of Blessed Paul the Apostle to the Corinthians. Brethren, if I should speak with the tongues of men and of angels, but do not have charity, I become a sounding brass or a tinkling cymbal. And if I have prophecy and know all mysteries and all knowledge, and if I have all faith so as to remove mountains, yet do not have charity, I am nothing. And if I distribute all my goods to feed the poor, and if I deliver my body to be burned, yet do not have charity, it profits me nothing. Charity is patient, is kind. Charity does not envy, it is not pretentious, it is not puffed up, it is not ambitious, it is not self-seeking, it is not provoked, thinks no evil, does not rejoice over wickedness, but rejoices with the truth, bears with all things, believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. Charity never fails. Whereas prophecies will disappear, and tongues will cease, and knowledge will be destroyed. For we know in part, and we prophesy in part. But when that which is perfect has come, that which is imperfect will be done away with. When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I felt as a child. I thought as a child. Now that I've become a man, I've put away the things of a child. We see now through a mirror in an obscure manner, but then face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know even as I have been known. So there abide faith, hope, and charity, these three. But the greatest of these is charity. From the Holy Gospel according to St. Luke. At that time, Jesus, taking to himself the 12, said to them, "Behold, we are going up to Jerusalem, and all things that have been written by the prophets concerning the Son of Man will be accomplished. For he will be delivered to the Gentiles, and will be mocked and scourged and spit upon, and after they have scourged him, they will put him to death. And on the third day he will rise again." And they understood none of these things, and this saying was hidden from them. Neither did they get to know the things that were being said. Now it came to pass, as he drew near to Jericho, that a certain blind man was sitting by the wayside begging. But hearing the crowd passing by, he inquired what this might be. And they told him that Jesus of Nazareth was passing by. And he cried out, saying, "Jesus, Son of David, have pity on me." And they who went in front angrily tried to silence him. But he cried out all the louder, "Son of David, have pity on me." Then Jesus stopped and commanded that he should be brought to him. And when he drew near, he asked him, saying, "What would you have me do for you?" And he said, "Lord, that I may see." And Jesus said to him, "Receive your sight. Your faith has saved you." And at once he received his sight and followed him, glorifying God. And all the people, upon seeing it, gave praise to God. Thus ends this section of the Gospel. One of the things that I love in the traditional Latin Mass and its cycle of readings is the fact on Quinquagesima Sunday today that we are given this section from 1 Corinthians 13 that so often when we hear them in church they're associated with a wedding. Love is patient, love is kind, doesn't the couple love each other, isn't that nice, yada, yada, yada. And none of that is what St. Paul is talking about. Okay, to some extent, once you apply Ephesians. No, St. Paul is talking about charity, agape love, a love word that was rarely used at the time. It existed, obviously, but it meant something, and it meant something specific for St. Paul. That just as there's love of self-desire and there's love of friendship where he loves another person equally, so there's a third love exemplified by Christ, and that is a love poured out for the other. A love that is defined by the cross of Christ, whose blood that flows from his heart was literally poured out for us. I've told you this before. I have a friend of mine who's a liturgy nerd, and she has a favorite word of the Mass, and it's in the consecration of the chalice, and that word is effundatur. It means to be completely poured out. Fundator is that it is poured out, but the EF is an EX. On the front of it intensifies the sense. It's not just spilled, it's intentionally every drop shed. This is charity. So when we go through this wonderful passage of St. Paul on the importance of self-poured out love, especially as an apostle, as one of the first bishops, first priests of the church, that he could do all sorts of stuff. But if he did it without charity, without his own love poured out into what he did, then nothing matters. Nothing matters if it is not done with love. With love poured out. And nothing matters if it is not done for love. If there's one thing I can impress upon you today, is that is it. And it doesn't matter what the world says, or what so-and-so in the church does, or the example that society gives us, or even that the season of Lent is coming. You know, I always tell people that what we give up for Lent has to be done out of love for Christ. Otherwise, it doesn't matter. We're just doing some sort of egocentric exercise. We hear it all the time. People who give up chocolate for Lent so that they can lose weight. That's not a Lenten sacrifice, because you're not doing it for Christ. If you've just completed the circle there. I want to give up chocolate so that I lose weight. It's about me. Now, for those of you who are thinking I might be talking about you, I want to give up chocolate so I can deepen in my love for Christ, who wants me to love myself better by actually taking care of myself and losing weight. There you've got it. Okay? So I said it's not evil in itself. It's not good in itself. We are people whose love is poured out. The blind man, we're told in another gospel, his name is Bartimaeus, cries out to the Lord, calling him by name, "Lord Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me. Let your love be poured out for me." And one of my favorite details about it is the Lord asks him, "What do you want?" "That I may see." And the Lord gives him his sight and tells him to go on his way. And his way is the way of Christ. It's a little detail. Go on your way, and he follows him. Love that is poured out, that is crying out to be heard by the beloved. You know, in the past couple weeks, I've been giving a a little bit of a homily series in my pre-Lenten thing. I did last week my homily on there's no such thing as a private sin, because every sin that we commit clings to us and twists us a little bit and changes us. Even the ones that we think are completely hidden and nobody knows about, but they change us in our relationship with ourselves, and then our relationship with others, and our relationship with God. Instead of being about self-giving love, we start to be more and more self-seeking. That every person is not an island, but a member of a society, and that entire society is an organism. Yes, I stole that from Plato. Okay. This weekend I talked about love. That there is no such thing as loving myself without being able to love others. And so, also, there's no such thing as an interior self that is completely separate in identity from an exterior self. You know, you think about that. There are people who live their lives trying to keep a private life that is completely one thing while having a completely different public face. And these people we call hypocrites or politicians. No, obviously not all politicians. I'm friends with some politicians, actually, who are not like that. But you know when you come up with somebody like that who isn't authentic, who doesn't have integrity to be put wholly together. And something about people like that just rubs us the wrong way, doesn't it? And it's because of that interior dishonesty. And it's easy to read. There's an old adage, you can fool some of the people all the time, or all the people some of the time, but you cannot fool all the people all the time. The real self always pops out. I was having a conversation a number of years ago with a friend of mine, and there's a long backstory to this, but the short version is I'd been hurt and was trying to maintain a friendship while kind of keeping the friend at arm's length. So I'm thinking about things, trying to gauge carefully my words and what I'm communicating and whatnot. And at some point in the conversation, I got tripped up, and I said what I was really thinking and feeling. And it was simply one line: "I'm sorry I didn't trust you." And that was it. That's when the friend figured out where I really was, and what I was really trying to say, and what I was really feeling. And that revelation, I didn't even notice I'd said it, to be honest. But my friend's reaction made me realize that hiding that and trying to be somebody different on the outside was the problem and was causing the problem in the relationship itself. And actually deepened our friendship to be able to say that, and things worked out pretty swimmingly after that. All because I admitted that I had lost trust for a while. It's hard. But we have to be honest and authentic. Just as St. Paul was. To admit our failures. As St. Paul talks about how We are sometimes like children, and we can only see partially and know partially and prophesy partially. We don't have the whole picture. And that brings us to humility. To be who we are and who we're meant to be. And to recognize that we are the ones who are first loved by Christ. Love poured out. Who calls us to pour ourselves out for one another. Even if we don't know the future or who they completely are. That our care for one another is an essential aspect of our faith. People who think that they need to watch out for numero uno or don't have integrity, they don't love. It becomes hard, if not impossible, to really care for another person because they're worried about losing power, control, or face, or wealth, or being hurt. And yet, as we prepare for Lent, we let ourselves be open to just those things as we make our Lenten promises, as we confess our sins, as we put ashes on our heads to admit that we are undeserving, we are but dust, and to come to this altar, to the one who's loved us, so that he can continuously pour his love and mercy into us. O in unum Deum.
Patrem omnipotentem, autorem celi et terrae, visibilium omnium, et invisibilium, et
Dominus vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Oremus.
Benedictus est Domine, doce me justificati, honestus, in labis meis pronunciavium ea judici, aoris tui.
Dominus vobiscum. Sursum corda. Gratias agamus, Domino Deo nostro. Vere et justum esse cum salutare, nos tibi semper tubique gratias acere, Domine Sancte Pater Omnipotens Aeterne Deus, qui cum unigenito Filio Tuo, et Spiritus Sancto unus est Deus, unus est Dominus, non in unius singularitate personae, sed in unius trinitate substantiae, quod enim de tua gloria revelante te credimus, hoc de Filio tuo, hoc de Spiritus Sancto, sine differentia discretioni sentimus, ut in confessione vere sempiterneque Deitatis, et in personis proprietas, et in essentia unitas, et in majestate adoratore qualitas, quam laudant angeli atque archangeli, cherubim quoque ac seraphim, qui non cessant clamare quotidie una voce dicentes.
Pleni succelia
Nobis quoque peccatoribus. Per omnia saecula saeculorum. Oremus preceptis salutaribus moniti, et divina institutione formati, haudemus dicere, Pater noster qui es in celis, sanctificetur nomen tuum, adveniat regnum tuum, fiat voluntas tua, sicut in cielo et in terra. Panem nostrum quotidianum da nobis hodie, et dimite nobis debita nostra, sicut et nos dimitimus debitoribus nostris, et ne nos inducas in tentationem,
Sed libera nos a malo.
per omnia saecula saeculorum. Pax Domini sit semper vobiscum.
Et cum spiritu tuo.
Agnus sequitos peccatum miserere nobis, agnus sequitos
Qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, qui tollis peccata mundi, miserere nobis. Agnus Dei, qui
Domine nostrum dignus, Domine nostrum dignus, Domine nostrum dignus. Et te agnus et qui tollis peccata mundi, Domine non sum dignus sed intre subtectum meum, sed tanto dic verbus in abitur anima mea. Domine non sum dignus sed intre subtectum Domine non sum dignus sed intre subtectum meum, sed tanto dic verbus in abitur anima mea. Corpus hominum Jesu Christi custodiet animum tuum vitam terram amen. Dominus vobiscum. Oremus, que sumus omnipotens Deus, ut qui celesti alimenter percepimus, per contra omnia versa muniamur, per Dominum nostrum Iesum Christum filium tuum, qui tecum vivere regnat in unitate Spiritus Sancti Deus, per omnia saecula saeculorum. Dominus vobiscum.
Spiritu tuo,
Ite missa est.
Deo gratias.
Benedicat vos omnipotens Deus, Pater et Filius et Spiritus Sanctus. Dominus vobiscum. Nitium Sancti Evangelii secundum Ioannem. Impropria venite et sui non recipiat. Quotum heter recipiat eum Dei Deus putus sancta fidus Savior. Is qui crede te nome est, non sequitus, ne panis voluntate cabis, et quex voluntate viri sed ex Deo natis. Verbo car facimus cantabimus in Deus quasi. Mes cum quasi in fact. Gratia et veritatis. What do we got? As you know, Lent begins on Ash Wednesday, which is this Wednesday, March 2nd. Mass schedule is in the bulletin. It's 7 o'clock Spanish-English bilingual and 8:30 English Mass with the school kids, and then there's a 5:30 English Mass, a 7 o'clock traditional Latin Mass, and 8:30 Spanish Mass. Yes, this is what happens when you have this many communities. Ash Wednesday is the day of fasting and abstinence for the Universal Church. Fasting is you're allowed to have one normal-sized meal, and you're allowed to have two small meals that together add up to no more than the normal-sized meal, and there's no snacks, okay? And of course, the abstinence refers to abstinence from all meat. Fridays of Lent are also days of abstinence with no meat, so enjoy your Fat Tuesday while you have it. And of course, on Fridays during Lent, we will have Stations of the Cross every Friday at 6 o'clock in English here in the church, and then followed by 7 o'clock Spanish here in the church. There'll also be a rosary at 5:30, so that's before Stations here in the church. There will be a fish fry in the parish hall from 5:30 to 7:30. Encourage you guys to partake of that, and we get to celebrate Friday of Lent as a community, and hey, there's food, we make it easy for you, right? So it's fish fries. If you grab a copy of the bulletin, you'll notice 5:30 English is handwritten in. That is correct. To have that on there somehow got missed on the front page. And if you got one without 5:30 English handwritten on there, come show it to me, because that means I made a mistake. This March 5th is the gala. It's our 1920s styled gala in 2020s. So information on that is the bulletin. School is looking for a volunteer track coach. You can find the info on that in the bulletin. Finally, our Holy Father Pope Francis has invited us to take this Ash Wednesday and offer our day of fasting for world peace, especially for peace in Ukraine against the Russian aggression that we've seen. To pray through the intercession of Our Lady, Queen of Peace, to preserve the world from the madness of war. So, something for you to offer your Ash Wednesday for, okay?
Ave Regina Celorum, Ave Domina Angelorum, Salve Radix, Salve Porta, ex qua mundo lux est dorta, Gaude Virgo gloriosa, super omnes preciosa, vale o vale decora, et pro nobis Christum extora.
Saint Michael the Archangel, defend us in battle. Our protection against the wickedness and snares of the devil. May God rebuke him, we humbly pray. And do thou, O Prince of the heavenly hosts, by the power of God, cast into hell Satan, all the evil spirits, all those worlds seeking the ruin of souls. Most Sacred Heart of Jesus, most Sacred Heart of Jesus, most Sacred Heart of Jesus, Our Lady, Queen of Peace, Saint Joseph, Saint Anthony, may all the souls of the faithful departed through the mercy of God. Peace.